Here are four top stories that are important for you today. We begin in South Africa, where an expropriation act is causing a major fuss. South Africa's government insists its new land expropriation law is standard practice worldwide. Yet the law has drawn fierce criticism, including from the U.S. President Donald Trump, who announced funding cuts for the country. So why the fuss? Land ownership remains one of the country's deepest scars from apartheid. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa last month signed a bill that stipulates the government may, in certain circumstances, offer nil compensation for property it decides to expropriate in the public interest. Pretoria argues the bill does not allow the government to expropriate property arbitrarily and must first seek to reach an agreement with the owner. But here is what is important for you to know. Critics fear a situation similar to the Zimbabwe government seizure of white-owned commercial farms, often without compensation after independence in 1980, might happen in South Africa. But supporters of the Expropriation Act say it is a long overdue correction of historical injustice. Global investors will be watching if South Africa mismanages land reform. Economic consequences could follow. Tell me what you think about this story. Well, from South Africa all the way to the Democratic Republic of Congo and the bigger picture of Rwanda's role in the ongoing crisis. Now, tension in eastern DRC are escalating even as Rwanda welcomes calls for a summit of two African regional groups. So here is the thing. Over the weekend, the 16-nation South African Development Community, SADC, called for a summit with the 8-country East African Community, EAC, to deliberate on the way forward regarding the security situation in the DRC. Rwanda is at the center of this crisis because a United Nations expert report revealed that it had roughly 4,000 troops in eastern DRC and accused Kigali of having de facto control over the M23. Kigali has repeatedly denied this. Rwanda alleges that the DRC supports and shelters the FDLR, an armed group created by the former Hutu leaders who massacred Tutsis during the 1994 Rwandan genocide. So why does this matter? The M23 conflict isn't just a local issue. It has the potential to destabilize Central Africa. What is important for you to know is that the war has already displaced over 7 million people, creating one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. If African leaders fail to reach a solution, foreign powers could step in, changing the balance of the influence in the region. Now, from DRC to Sudan, where the United Nations has condemned a series of attacks on civilians, including the shelling of a market in Khartoum's twin city of Omdurman that killed at least 60 people. Sudan's army and the Rapid Support Forces, RSF, have been locked in a fierce power struggle since April 2023, with the fighting intensifying this month as the army seeks to reclaim the capital. So what's important in this story? Experts are now pushing for new diplomatic strategies, including stronger international mediation, particularly using Gulf states' influence, more humanitarian aid, especially in Chad, South Sudan, where Sudanese refugees are pouring in, and support efforts by African Union AU to encourage dialogue among Sudan's political and civil society groups about a stable post-war future. And why does it matter? Sudan's war could spill over into neighboring countries, deepening instability across the Horn of Africa. The international community must decide whether to intervene more forcefully or risk allowing Sudan to become another failed state. And now finally to the big entertainment story of Grammys and African artists, the big question of recognition or restriction.
And the Grammy goes to Cowboy Carter, Beyonce.
So we begin with what we already know, right? Beyonce has finally won this year's Best Album for her culture-shaking Cowboy Carter, as rapper Kendrick Lamar posted a clean sweep on a night that served as a love letter to fire-ravaged Los Angeles. But the key subject of conversation for Africa is the Best African Music Performance category. Nigerian singer Tems emerged as the winner in this category for her song Love Me Jeje. This track creatively reinterprets Seyi Sodumu's classic of the same name. The other nominees in this category were Yemi Alade with Tomorrow, Asake and Wizkid MMS, Chris Brown featuring Davido, Lil J with their Sensational, and Burna Boy, of course, Higher. I'm sure you heard me mention Chris Brown, right? And yes, there was a heated controversy surrounding the inclusion of an American artist in this category. So why the debate? The category was meant to honor African talent, yet the nomination of an American singer featuring Afrobeats artists has raised eyebrows. Grammy officials argue that music transcends borders, but African artists worry their moment will be diluted. So what is important for you to know? Afrobeat dominates the conversation, overshadowing other genres like Amapiano. This raises the question, should the category be expanded to reflect diversity of Africa's music scene? Tell me what you think, and those were the 4 top stories that were important for you to know. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. My name is George Okachi, and on behalf of the entire team, many thanks.